Thrand here, and I'm here to talk about Tasset. And as you can see, I'm wearing a breastplate. It's around a 15th century breastplate, and I have a tasset. This actually gives its articulated plate, and that's what most people think of when they think of tasset armor. But the kind of tasset armor we're speaking of today is not late century plate tasset armor. We're speaking of the earliest form of tasset armor, which we see it in old Greek vases and Etruscan paintings, depictions, and vases as well. The Romans had stuff similar to this, but this is a Greek belt that was sent to me by Medieval Shop. It has the lion's head on it, so I believe it's called the Royal Lion's Head Greek belt. I believe you want to look it up on Medieval Shop. But the first thing I thought of when I saw it, I wanted to test this style of armor out. I know if you have it where it has multiple pieces, like pieces behind these pieces in between, like kind of like you would overlap them, it has even more protective qualities. But in drawings and depictions, this is probably the lightest armor you would see historically with the cuirass on the old Greek armor depictions to protect the upper thigh. And on those depictions, you normally see a tunic or something under it, some type of cloth. So with this leather, and this one has a lot of studs, as I would call them, or decorative pieces on it with the lion's head and the little suns, I'm thinking that that might help aid protection as well. The belt itself is leather, and it has a padding on the back, like a type of padding, like a belt style padding. Then we have our cloth, and then underneath here, I've cut the leg out of the mannequin and put in a piece of ballistic shell. So I'm going to use the Naue 2 by Burridge. It's razor sharp. I can sit here and shave hair with it easily. You can see it over there, but I'm actually shaving my arm. I'm going to go ahead and use this, see if we can chop into this, and if this gives any protection. I've always been curious how much it would protect the thigh for them wearing it. I know it's a status symbol a lot of times. It was used by the Romans as a status symbol. But let's get going and see what happens. I love these steels. The steel was sent to me in the handle by Naue. I want to thank you for that. Check my video on sharpening bronze weapons by Burridge. I like using the steel. It may not be 100% historically accurate like a stone would be, but just to sharpen it up and not lose the edge over time, I love using the steel. You use it very lightly, and it will correct the edge and make it razor sharp. Love doing it. He even states it might help home. But anyway, let's get started here. This is our belt from Medieval Shop with the brass fittings, and it is leather. I have it over 2 layers of linen. It's the same kind of linen that we used in our video with the sacks. It was sent to us by Naue as well. It was also the type of stuff that Scalagram used for his canvassing test. But today we're just using it as a really thick, heavy war tool. And like I said, ballistic shells here underneath. Let's go ahead and try our first cut and see what happens. I'm going to use the way I believe this blade was used with the drawing motion and for thrusting and cutting. I believe that's the way that it was actually used. Let's go ahead and see what happens here. Ooh! Kind of got our edge a little bit, but didn't do much. We cut our leather a little bit, not too badly. We actually scored it. You can see that right here. And it looks like what happened is it hit first on this piece here, causing it to bounce off. So there was no cut into it. All right, as you can see, the cut I did earlier hit the leather after it bounced off, hitting an actual piece. The way these are laid out is quite ingenious. One's tiered in between every other one, kind of like you do a brick wall. So what ends up happening is to try not to hit one is almost impossible. Because you're probably going to hit at least 2 of these no matter where you hit, and you're going to impact a piece of this metal. So as it just being leather, no, it's possible to get in between there, possibly at an angle, but trying to slash straight across, I'm probably going to hit metal each time, which did damage the blade slightly, not too bad. I can repair it, but it damaged the edge just a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and maybe cut one more time. I'm not going to continually tear up the edge on this, but that showed it was effective to me. Let's go ahead and try one more time. Same kind of result. I slashed about in the same area right over the ballistics gel, but I hit one of these while I was there, which actually stopped me from cutting it. I also hit the lion as well. We've got a little more edge damage, but I can touch that up real quick. Let's go ahead and see what would happen without the belt, see if the belt's actually really doing something, or you got to do control. So we'll go ahead and try that next. Okay, we're going to try it with just the cloth now, and I'm going to try to hit it about here and see what happens to the same side. That was a good cut, but it didn't make it through either. Not through the cloth at all. Quite amazed the cloth held it that well. Hit it more of a tip than I did with the other that I came across, and we still have no cut. Believe it or not, without the belt, which we know the belt stopped the cut, because you can tell it didn't make it through the belt, the actual strips. Just the cloth being able to give and move and the bounce of the flesh is stopping it from cutting through. It's actually a bounce thing. So without thrusting or a real small tip shot, like if I was stepping back and it's barely tipping it, or a thrust, I don't think it's going to go through the cloth, which the thrust, I'm pretty sure, could make it in between the belt straps or go through the belt itself, because it is leather. We know how leather armor behaves. So for slashing and cutting, without the cloth, the belt probably been more than enough. All right, this is going to be just the gel and cutting with the sword in the same manner. See what happens. Yeah, that would be your leg. So without the cloth, that's all it takes. It's straight through, it's into the mannequin. It actually cut into our mannequin. On the back side, I don't know if y'all can see this, it cut into the actual mannequin and into the leg. That tells me this could go through that much gel and into the bone. So that means you're talking about cutting muscle, bone, and so on. That is nasty. So believe it or not, 2 layers of really heavy linen that's woven, and this is a rough linen at that, it's like sack linen that was sent to us, can stop it free floating on the leg possibly, cutting the smaller blade. But this alone could do it as well. We witnessed it. Didn't cut through it, slightly damaged, but having these spaced out the way they are and having the leather, you're not going to make it fit. After seeing what it did with the belt, knowing it didn't go through the belt, didn't go through 2 layers of the linen, I'm going to go ahead and prove it sharp and try 1 layer. Because I already know if I don't do that, if I don't show how sharp the edge is, if I don't do this and prove it to everybody, they're going to assume that the blade wasn't sharp. Because I mean, I assure you, I can shave with this blade. It's the light blade, and you trying to cut through that with the bounce of the gel. Gel may have a little more bounce than a true blade. Would stop it. Bounce has a lot to do with gamison working, and that's why sometimes it won't even cut through the outer layer. Let's go ahead and try it with a razor sharp edge on 1 layer. See if I can make it through. I might even try more of a tip shot, even though I don't think this is normally used for the cast blow style, and see if I can make it through that way. I will try my best. Oh. Ooh. Gotta pick this up. But what ended up happening is with more of a tip shot in 1 layer, I was able to cut through that much. So we've got a slice in the leg. The leg would be bleeding. I mean, and it cut further than you think. So once it pokes through, like yay so much, the blade drags across and the cloth moves. The cloth's free flowing. So we actually have a slice in the leg that's substantial. If you see it, there's a slice right here that's substantial. And I can now test, because I have ballistics gel, it goes in, it's an illusion the way it works. It goes in a good 1.5 inches. So yes, it wouldn't have looked bad in the material, but what ended up happening is our blade went in 1.5 inches and then grew across the leg. That's what you can't see. So yes, the tip shot works, like I've always said. It's just the regular cut, where you try to slice it, does not seem to work. And of course, we know the old-fashioned works almost every time. That's why you would need multiple layers of cloth in this situation. So anyway, we had a nice cut into this. And the cut itself is a good 3 or 4 inches across, about 1.5 inches deep. So yes, the tip shot with 1 layer went through. I think this was an exciting video, and what we did learn is that this belt, even as light or dainty as it may seem as this type of protection, and yes, there's all kinds of elaborate ways you can make it better, it's still enough to protect your leg, even if your leg was bare. It was enough to stop this edge. And this was another period blade that would have actually been used. Exact replica. Anyway, hope you all enjoyed the episode. If you want to look at one of these for like your costume or garb, go by Medieval Shop. And thank you again, Neil Burridge, for this fine blade formed beautifully, wonderfully today. It's razor sharp still to this day. Thank you all, and be sure to like and subscribe, and Farvel.